From humble and simple beginnings and from an unknown brand to a unforgettable franchise. That's the story of InfoEdge. Incorporated in 1995, went public in 2006, and less than 20 years of it going public, it is now commanding a market cap of 1 lakh crore. So it's been this entire journey of InfoEdge which we will be talking about with Hitesh and Mr. Bikhchandani. We'll also talk about the fact that from 1 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore, if the business has to scale up and if the company has to go big, how will it pivot? And what is the secret sauce that Sanjeev Bikhchandani has, that he was able to identify Zomato, PB Fintech? How is Hitesh able to run Naukri.com or Naukri so efficiently with a commanding share of 70%? So कुछ अच्छी बातें, कुछ यादें, and कुछ future की बातें. All that and much more on this very special show. Hitesh, Mr. Bikhchandani, gentlemen, congratulations. I'm sure for any entrepreneur, for any founder, it's a great feeling when you see the market cap of that company cross 1 lakh crore.
Thank you.
Mr. Bikhchandani, when the company went public in 2006, did you ever expect that in less than 20 years you would reach a market cap of 1 lakh crore?
You know, I don't think we did. Actually, I did not. Hitesh can speak for himself, but I'm pretty sure he also did not.
So Hitesh, what was the number? What was the best case scenario for you?
You know, at the time of the IPO, उसके बाद हमने ज़्यादा सोचा नहीं about stock price. We just said, okay, अब आज़ादी मिल गई. We are out of the shareholder agreements, out of investor agreements. VC got an exit, ESOP has value, stock has currency, we're in a different strategic space. So all those things, we did not think market cap. Sure, you track market cap every now and then, and you meet analysts and investors, but we did not obsess with market cap, not then, not now.
Hitesh, when the company went public, day one, if you would like to take the journey back down the memory lane, what did you imagine? How big this company you thought the day it went public? What was your imagination like that day?
Like Sanjeev was saying, we've never really obsessed about market cap. In fact, I was very surprised when we raised money from ICICI Ventures in 2000. We got a very high valuation even at that time, which was maybe about 45, 50 crores, right? So we had a business which was doing 3 lakhs a month in terms of revenue at that time. Nobody expected the business to become this large. When we wrote our first business plan, we projected a revenue of 20 crores after 5 years, right? So the growth in the internet, the growth in technology, smartphones, you know, we didn't see all this coming, 20 years ago. It surprised everybody, including ourselves. And internally, we never discussed stock prices. We've always focused on, stuff like the language inside the company is more around revenue growth, profitability, innovation, business metric. How many CVs did you get yesterday? How many job applications did you get yesterday? What is our share of market share in the real estate market? These are the kind of things we discuss on a day-to-day basis. Of course, one is aware of stock prices, and one never expected to sort of, but I've always been a believer that, market shows you all possible prices. You have to keep focusing on your business. That's what is in your control. And that's what we do best.
Mr. Bikhchandani, the InfoEdge model is a very unique model. It has operating businesses which generate a lot of cash flow, and that cash flow in a sense is then used to create value in other businesses and especially startup. So when InfoEdge went public, did you plan it like this, that there would be an operating business which will generate a lot of cash flow and that would be used? It's pretty much like how Berkshire Hathaway in a sense has evolved. They get a lot of float from the insurance business and they use that float to to invest.
Yeah, there was no such plan and there was no such thinking. We had an operating business that was, profitable and negative working capital and throwing out cash. And essentially what happened was that, we had raised money in the IPO, but we were not using it, right? And because the business didn't need the cash. And every quarter, the auditors, Pricewaterhouse, would come and say utilization of IPO proceeds nil. So after 2 or 3 quarters, the board said, what's going on, guys? I mean, we can't have this. You have to use the IPO proceeds. So we went back to the RHP and said, okay, objects of the issue were these 4-5 things: organic growth, inorganic growth, general corporate purposes, 2 others. And we said, the only thing that seems possible and plausible is inorganic growth. And then we went out in the market and we found there was nothing to buy at any kind of sensible valuation. And so then we said, okay, maybe investing in startups is also inorganic growth. And we went back to the board that can we invest in startups? So the board said, yeah, you can invest maybe 150 to 160 crores over the next 3 years. And that's how we began to invest in 2007. It was a compliance-driven compulsion more than a strategy at that stage. Over time, it evolved into a activity which got serious and got large and created value. It wasn't a planned strategy at the beginning. That's how we got into it. So we kind of stumbled into it, and it worked, and we did more of it.
Hitesh, while Naukri or the job business for InfoEdge really has been the mainstay, some would argue back and say that your other businesses have not really scaled up to the same scale. Why is that, Hitesh?
You are absolutely right, Nikunj. And then if you had made this statement 2 years ago, I would have totally agreed with you. There were 2 years ago, our non-Naukri businesses, 99 acres, Jeevan Sathi and Shiksha, were between them losing 220 crores a year in terms of cash. And, we're a very conservative company. We don't like to lose cash, as you know. But fast forward and, the target for this year, of course, the year still has to play out, is to get this non-Naukri portfolio to break even, right? So last year we cut burn by 50% from 220 crores a year. I think our cumulative losses, our aggregate losses in these 3 verticals were less than, maybe about 100 crores. In H2 of last year, we actually broke even. And the goal for this year is also, one, to of course grow them at a healthy rate and to also get them to break even. A lot of the hard work has already been done. And the market has been through a lot of ups and downs, especially in real estate, starting with demonetization, GST, NBFC crisis, COVID. I mean, the real estate sector was down for a long time. It's beginning to recover. And normally real estate cycles are long and deep. So hopefully the market will stay buoyant for a while. And a lot of the hard work in terms of building the platform, etc., is done. So, and our kind of businesses have high operating leverage. So if growth remains strong from here on, the business could do well. In Jeevan Sathi, we are like flirting with break even, after having been, we are, in a market which is actually not growing much. We grew by 35% last quarter over the previous year. Shiksha is now making money. So big green shoots in these verticals. Hopefully, if the economy remains buoyant, these should become large businesses over the next 4 or 5 years.
But Hitesh, you've not incubated any other large operating business in a while. The last one was Jeevan Sathi and then 99 acres. After that, you've not really incubated an operating business, despite the fact that your existing operating businesses are generating a lot of cash, and a lot of cash in a sense now comes via dividend and other proceeds from the investments also. Why is that?
We see a lot of opportunity in the verticals we are already present in. So take Naukri, for example. Naukri was a simple job board till a few years ago. But we see a huge opportunity, in jobs alone. I mean, we've over time branched out. We have made a few acquisitions. So we acquired a company called IM Jobs. In the premium hiring space, we've acquired a recruitment software company called Zwayam. We've entered the assessment business through DoSelect, which is our assessment platform. These are B2B platforms, so you don't get to hear about them. We acquired a small company called Ambition Box a few years ago. It's now bigger than Glassdoor in India. It's again in the recruitment space. 4 years ago, we started a blue-collar effort inside the company called Job Hai. Job Hai is now scaling up nicely. It's a 5 to 10 year play because the blue-collar workforce is growing, and we are seeing more and more gray-collar workers as well, and they're all online. So in the job space itself, there is so much opportunity. We think we can do a lot more. And take AI and machine learning, for example. I mean, it's again, opened up a world of opportunity for us. Today there are 500 You won't believe it. There are 500 AI models which run, which power our platforms, right? There are 500 models, job search, job matching, recommendation engines, all are now being powered by AI. And similarly, we see opportunities in all the other verticals as well. They are all huge categories, and it's not, so we may not have entered a new category, but we see a lot of real estate. I mean, there's a rental business, there's a commercial business opportunity, there is a resale business opportunity, there is a new launch opportunity, there is resale, there is rental management. So many things which one can do in real estate. So in the matrimony business, we've entered quite a small dating platform. We think it's a 5 to 10 year play. So these verticals are large, and there's a lot to do in them. And yes, we could consider a fifth operating vertical as well. But once we sort of get these non-Naukri businesses, like you said, to a reasonably stable and solid level.
Mr. Bikhchandani, the journey of InfoEdge from, I won't use the word 0 to 100, I would say 1 to 1 lakh crore, was centered around the success of operating business and success of Zomato and PB Fintech. What do you think will influence the script of InfoEdge journey from 1 lakh crore to 2 lakh crore? Where do you think the company will pivot?
In my view, it'll be a little bit of more of the same. As the seeds for 1 lakh, 2 lakh crore, if we get there, and when we get there, have already been sown. It's unlikely to be something dramatically new that we do. If real estate scales up and gets profitable in the next 3-4 years, that will make a difference. As IT comes back and Naukri grows, that will make a huge difference. If Blinkit succeeds the way we are hoping, that will make a difference. If Policy Bazaar continues to grow the way it is, that will make a difference. Above all, if the market stays intact, that will make a difference. The market corrects, all valuation goes down.
You currently have 21 active...
If I may just add to that, there are companies like Recruit, for example. Recruit is a Japanese job board, and they, of course, have a global presence. I mean, just from that business alone, that company is worth 100 billion. So these are huge markets. You have to sort of just play your cards well. You have to keep focusing on the customer, on the user, and on solving their problems. It's not as if all the hiring in India happens through Naukri today. In the white collar space, maybe 30% of all hiring, 35% of all hiring happens through Naukri. So there's so much opportunity in the white collar space. And then there's a premium segment, there's a blue collar segment, there's recruitment software. India is fast becoming the back office of the world. It's the only country, where perhaps large country where the working population is still growing and is likely to grow for the next 10, 20 years. And in other parts of the world, this workforce is actually fast, including in China. The numbers are now going down. So there's no reason why India will not become the back office of the world. So, there is huge opportunity in all the verticals that we are present. And we don't have to do anything dramatically different to get to whatever number you may have in mind.
Great. So we've discussed the operating business, that the seeds have been sown, and now it's a matter of time the businesses would be scaling up. But let's pivot a bit, Mr. Bikhchandani, and talk about your investee companies. 2 stars of your portfolio are Zomato and PB Fintech. I distinctly remember we had a conversation in February 2022, and the consumer tech and the fintech stocks were languishing at the bottom of the barrel. Market had lost all hopes. Zomato had plunged to 40 rupees. PB Fintech had plunged to about 400 rupees. A lot has changed after that, Mr. Bikhchandani. Why do you think these companies have been able to get pricing discipline back, and what has really pivoted them from cash burn to strong profits?
So I think that was a plan all along. When Zomato went public, they said within 2 to 3 years, we'll be profitable, and they were. Now, the surprise package, as far as the market is concerned, is the way Blinkit seems to be performing. And I think that made a huge difference. I think in Zomato, there's been flawless execution. It's not easy to scale a e-commerce business in India and make a profit. That's, I think, truly unique. Policy Bazaar, of course, got to profit as planned and scheduled and continues to grow. So again, that was planned. But if you look at why the market corrected when it did, it was to some extent driven by external factors. When the Fed began to contract the balance sheet, I think there was global correction, and India followed suit within 6 months, and that's why the market corrected. But as these companies' performance came in, and as the Indian market rebounded, I think both these companies and InfoEdge also benefited.
No, so Mr. Bikhchandani, what would be that point at which InfoEdge would say that, look, I'm an investor in these companies and I've benefited because of that, but now as an investor, it is time for me to cash out. How far are you away from that in Policy Bazaar and Zomato, Mr. Bikhchandani?
So look, we're not married to the stocks and those companies, but as long as we see growth coming and the fundamentals are improving every quarter, every year, we are in the business of maximizing value for our shareholders in the long run. Okay, we don't trade in these stocks. We're not stock market traders. And so as long as we see growth coming, I see no reason to sell. I was speaking to Rakesh Jhunjhunwala during COVID, over Zoom, and we were just discussing, it was just a shoot the breeze kind of conversation. He's also a co-founder of Ashoka University, so we had connected. And then we were discussing, investments in Zomato, Policy Bazaar, and he told me, Sanjeev, मैं एक चीज बोलूं? I said, क्या? He said, देखो, अगर एक बढ़िया company मिल गई ना, there's no reason why you shouldn't stay forever. So that's what I've done in Titan, and it's really worked. So think about it. So essentially, you're saying, think long term. You don't have to exit just because you have, you boxed yourself into being a financial investor. And if I don't encash, I'm not being true to my DNA. If there's growth in the company still, why not hang on? Unless you have some other better use for that cash.
What is your definition of growth when you say that you will stay invested in these companies as long as there is growth? Do you see enough and more growth visibility for 3 to 5 years in these companies?
In both of these, yes. There is growth expected, visibility hai. Blinkit maybe, food delivery maybe. Now ticketing business maybe. I'll give you a story. In the last 2 weeks, I have got more requests for tickets for the Diljit Dosanjh show than I have got cumulatively for admissions to Ashoka University. And I'm wondering, there are no tickets. I'm wondering, I'm making so many enemies of all my friends. Yeah, I can't give you tickets. And it tells me that they're onto something.
Mr. Bikhchandani, can I also make a request for that same concert and a ticket, please?
I'll put you in the queue.
Hitesh, how do you see the job market evolving in the light of what is happening on the AI front? And the reason I'm asking this is because for Naukri, the mainstay in a sense was the IT business, which is where the disruption and the AI impact has happened. How do you see this impacting the long-term viability of your business?
So, our business growth is indexed to 3 things. One is, of course, India GDP growth, and think of that as non-IT growth. And then, of course, the growth in the IT services industry, because that's about half our business. And of course, what we do as a platform, how much we are able to innovate, how many new products are we able to launch, how are we able to do things differently. I think the Indian story is looking really good, and after a very long time, almost all non-IT sectors are fighting. So, I see no reason why 10 years from now, India will not have double the capacity it has today in the hotel industry, in the hospital sector, in real estate, in manufacturing, name the sector. I think every sector is likely to grow for the next few years and grow at a healthy rate. The non-IT, the IT industry. See, there are 2 schools of thought on AI and its impact on the IT industry. One, of course, people believe that AI will make everybody more productive and therefore will need to reduce the need for workers or IT workers. But there is a second school of thought, which is that every time there's a new technology, the services business around the technology is many times more than the technology business, because you need an army of sort of programmers and people who can leverage that technology to benefit businesses, right? And that work, that heavy lifting will again be done by the Indian IT services industry. So let's see how that plays out. We are already deploying a lot of AI in our business. It's making us more efficient, but it's also opening up new opportunities. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. We used to, for a long time, we've had a resume writing service where we used to physically write resumes for people who needed help. Now, AI has helped us bring down that cost, as a result of which we can actually now drop prices and offer the services to more people, that service to more people. But more importantly, we've launched a new service using AI, which is that we can help you, practice, do mock interviews for you, right? And that those interviews are done by AI, right? Not by human beings. So this service was not possible for us to offer earlier because we didn't have an army of interviewers who could sort of read your resume and ask you questions. But now we are able to do it through AI.
Hitesh, as long as AI does not replace television anchors like me, I'll be in job. So please, I would request you not to get that technology on board. Mr. Bikhchandani, you have 21 active investments right now.
No, we've invested thus far in over 120 startups since 2007, and maybe 80 or 90 are still alive. Okay, now these are from our balance sheet. Some are financial, some are strategic. These are from the 3 or 4 AIFs we've done. सब मिला मिलू के कुल मिला के लगभग 120 होंगी ever invested. लगभग 80-90 are still alive.
Okay, 80-90 are still alive. But
what you see in our annual report is just what's on the balance sheet. The AIF portfolio in granular detail is not usually mentioned.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. But my question is that when you started as a company investing in startups were considered to be a high risk, high return investment. Valuations and the environment was very different. Today, startups are commanding a lot of respect, and a company like Zomato, which was a startup now, soon could be part of Nifty 50. So do you think now in your current kitty of 80 investment stocks, it would be difficult to find another Zomato or Policy Bazaar, surely in terms of returns and reward?
You never say never. I mean, back in 2019-20, Zomato wasn't Zomato the way it is today at the valuation and market cap, right? So it's 2019 में मेरे ख्याल से 2-3 बिलियन पे उन्होंने रेस किया था, और now it's 30 billion. Now to grow 10x on that kind of valuation base is quite remarkable. So Zomato and Policy Bazaar have exceeded our expectations. Could somebody else do it? It's possible, but it's not predictable.
So which is the next company from your investment kitty which could go public in next 2 or 3 years, Mr. Bikhchandani?
So there are, I think, 5 or 6 candidates, some in the strategic space, in the strategic investment space, some in the AIF, some in the balance sheet financial investments. I don't want to name anybody right now, but 5-6 hain, which over next 2-3 years, if market stays intact, IPO market continues, businesses keep growing, could make it. Right now, we have 3 listed companies. We've got, 4 actually: InfoEdge, Zomato, PB Fintech, and Ixigo. Ixigo, of course, went in late with a small check, but it is listed.
Hitesh, so let's connect the dots here, and we are talking about the next 5 to 10 year journey for InfoEdge, which is that operating businesses will become large. They don't require a lot of cash, which means a lot of cash flow will increase. On the other side, Mr. Bikhchandani hopefully will cash out some investments. He will get a lot of profit and he will get a lot of dividend because of that. So how do you see InfoEdge moving in terms of dividends, share buybacks? Mr. Bikhchandani just mentioned that they don't want to keep a lot of cash. So do you see next 4-5 years a lot of buybacks, a lot of dividends increasing?
See, I did not say we don't want to keep a lot of cash. We want to keep enough cash for a rainy day. I'll tell you why we keep the cash we do. And it's fairly significant for a company our size and a balance sheet our size that we have 4,500 crores of cash. You see, the cash gives you the cushion and comfort to take strategic calls which are correct and good for the business long term, which you may not take otherwise if you had less cash because you would think it's too risky. मैं 2 उदाहरण लेता हूँ. One is in 2008-9 when the global financial crisis hit. We had 2 quarters in a row where we had minus 26% growth in Naukri. right? And there was pressure on us to downsize, right? Now, you see, we regard ourselves as a people's business. These are, and the worst time to let people go is when the market is bad and they won't get a job. These are your own people. They built the company. You're letting them go, and you're putting them through misery, right? And we decided not to let people go because we had enough cash. And after 2-3 quarters, with TARP happened and business came back, and we lost maybe 40-50 people. Okay, what we had committed that time to the board was we will reduce headcount but not do massive sacking, and we did it through natural attrition and a hiring freeze. Right. The second time it happened was in 2020, COVID lockdown. April, June 2020, Naukri billings degrew 44% YOY that quarter. Again, because we had enough cash, we were able to take the call to not let go of people. Other companies did let go of people, but we had so much cash that we felt we could last a long, long time, and we'll ride it out. So a cash cushion gives you that comfort to do the right thing, and we believe in that. Now, at 4,500 crores, it looks like it's enough cash. Sure, if there's a massive exit somewhere, and there is, substantial amount of cash, much more than we have right now, there will be an opportunity to perhaps give some of it back to shareholders, either through dividend or through buybacks, and that is something which we will evaluate then. I don't know, Hitesh, you want to add something there?
Yeah, Hitesh, anything you want to add?
You're right, and this. I know we may have 4,500 crores, but there are tons of companies out there which have a lot more cash than we do in the internet space. And a lot of this cash is also customer advances because we collect the money in advance from our customers. And often they pay us for a year. And like Sanjeev said, we also need to keep some cash for a rainy day. And lastly, we also need cash for some exciting opportunities we may come our way and where we may need to actually move very quickly. We've been making a lot of small acquisitions. But every now once in a while, we may be open to the idea of making a large acquisition as well, provided the right opportunity arises. Like we were discussing earlier, we could enter a fifth vertical through an acquisition at some point in time, or if we see an opportunity to consolidate in one of our verticals, cash allows you to do that at that time. But you're right. If the Naukri business continues to generate a ton of cash and the other businesses also become profitable, then one of our jobs as a management team is to find uses for that cash and to look for new opportunities to invest.
A couple of last questions. And Hitesh, I'm going to quote Ashwath Damodaran there, Professor Damodaran. He describes the journey of a company in the following manner. It starts with an idea, then it is seeded, then it is in its high growth phase, then it reaches the mature curve, and then if the business is not great, market forces ensure that the trajectory goes south. So if you have to really describe that life cycle for InfoEdge, Hitesh, what growth curve currently InfoEdge is on, and where do you see the growth curve moving for next 5 to 7 years?
If I look at the last 5 years or so, the Naukri business has maybe grown at 18-20% per annum, and profitability may have grown at 25-30% per annum or so. There is no reason, and this was at a time when GDP growth was low. There was COVID. Of course, there was also the Great Resignation after COVID. And so I think India as a country is in its growth phase, and I see no reason why businesses which are young and are market leaders cannot grow much faster than the rate at which the Indian economy is going to grow in the years to come. Right. So internally, we are targeting, or we would love to target at least 20% growth in Naukri over the next 5-10 years in the core Naukri business. Of course, we have to keep innovating. We have to keep doing new things. We have to keep thinking like a day one company. We cannot think of ourselves. We don't want to think of ourselves as a mature sort of organization. And to do that, we are constantly inducting new talent into the company and constantly betting on new technologies and acquiring talent through acquisitions and doing a bunch of other things, right? I'll give you another example, our Naukri Gulf business. We had sort of let it be for a while, but suddenly that business now become a $12 million business and is making money. And we are now beginning to sort of, again, look at the Gulf as perhaps an area we could expand into, right? Because the economy is growing, there are new opportunities constantly coming our way. The blue collar business, like, it's very tiny today, but it's already getting a lot of users, right? There's no reason why that can't become a large business. There are businesses in China which work with 7 million SMEs, jobs businesses. We work with 110,000 companies today in India through Naukri. There's no reason why the blue collar business cannot work with 1 million SMEs over the next 10 years. So all I'm saying is there are lots of opportunities. We think of ourselves as a growth company. We want to continue to have this day one mindset, think like a startup. The fact that we are surrounded by startups like Zomato and Policy Bazaar also inspires us, right? So that's how we think, at least. Let's see how it plays out over the next few years.
Mr. Bikhchandani, you quoted late Rakesh Jhunwala, and I distinctly remember he had shared with me once that when he started his investment in his career in the public market, his mother told him that if you start your career as a stock market investor, shaadi nahi hogi, because the 1980s and 1990s stock market was not the place to be in. Similarly, when you started investing in the startup business, it was like a business which was difficult to understand, but today it is becoming a mainstay. And a lot of young folks and a lot of our young audience members here, they want to build a career in the startup space. What would be your advice to those who are now looking at building a career, or perhaps want to join a family office and are now really in the quest to find the next Zomato or the next InfoEdge or the next Policy Bazaar? Mr. Bikhchandani.
देखो, मैं दो चीजें बोलूंगा to not answer your question, but then I'll answer your question. पहले तो जब हमने स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट करना चालू किया था, हितेश और मेरी दोनों की शादी हो चुकी थी. So that risk did not exist. Second, when Hitesh was joining the company in 2000, we had just about not yet raised venture capital. He was going to get married just then. तो मैंने उसको बोला पहले शादी कर लो, हनीमून से आ जाओ, फिर ज्वाइन. Okay, so when he joined the company, he was already married, right? So he did not have that risk. But having said that, listen, I mean, the environment has changed. I think it is now socially acceptable for talented, educated young people to consider a startup, either starting one or joining one at the beginning of their careers, and not take up a job in a large company necessarily. And that's a big change over the last 25, 30 years, I think. Startups have become respectable. And a lot has to do with the fact that some have succeeded. That there's now funding available. The fact that if you have experience as an entrepreneur and you go back to a job in a large company, you're not called a failure. In fact, experience as an entrepreneur in a startup is valued by the large corporations. So, काफी कुछ बदला है, and इसलिए लोगों का mindset भी बदला है.
Fair point. So Hitesh, final question. I've always admired the fact that you've been very forthright, very honest. You call spade a spade. When business is good, you acknowledge it. When business is bad, you admit it. So in that same spirit, I'm asking this question because I've never had both of you together on ET Now. So my question to you, Hitesh, is that what is that one thing you just don't like about Sanjeev bhai? You don't like it at all.
What I don't like about Sanjeev, I think he still works too hard.
And Mr. Bikhchandani, what is that one thing you love about Hitesh? Ulta puchte.
The fact that he's on top of everything operationally and operating businesses are ekdam tich.
अच्छा, अब दोनों के लिए एक सवाल. What is that one thing you love about ET Now? चलिए.
The fact that you ask such probing questions and you've done your homework and research.
What I love about you, Nico, especially, and ET Now, of course, is that you guys are also very aggressive. You also operate like a day one company. You're all constantly fighting to get all of us onto your program all the time.
Well, it's been such a pleasure and an honor to have you every time on the channel. I look forward to our engagements. I learn a lot. Our viewers learn a lot, and it's been so nice to really celebrate this, landmark from humble and simple beginning, from an unknown brand to an unforgettable franchise, and now commanding market cap of 1 lakh crore. Congratulations, guys. Thank you for joining us, and good luck going forward.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.